So now talking about diversity. What do you mean by diversity? Variety of species, variety of living organism in the form of species, in the form of genera, in the form of family, in the form of class, order, and so on. So detailed description we'll study in the next chapter, but as of now I'll give you the idea why there is a need and what are the process to study this much of diversity. For example, if I ask you to ask Tia, can you please read something? Okay. Did I say that from where to start? No, it was your assumption, right? Before starting this word, you are supposed to go to the previous page. Before that, you are supposed to go to another previous page and previous. That means there will be the page number 1. Since there is no other option, you have started or you will start to read from page number 1. That means there is a chronological order, isn't it? There is a chronological order to study. So whenever there is a variety, the first question should come to your mind that how to study this much of variety and how to categorize. First thing is categorize them. Alright? So first thing is categorization. But categorization based on what? In this campus, there are different classes, different sections. So these classes and sections are divided based on certain characteristic features. And those characteristic features are defined by your level of understanding, your age factor, okay, your level of, you can say the grasping the knowledge also. Based on that we have categorized, okay, SEA student and non-SEA students. Alright, okay. So diversity to study, and for a study we have different things for our consideration. Basically 3, but I'll add on one more topic over here. To study diversity, we need 4 different basic steps. Okay? Step number 1, whenever you find a new organism somewhere, so first thing what do? You start to observe. You try to identify. Identify in which form? That means the existing information about specific organism, right? You saw something, some organism which one is having the elongated body and crawling like a snake. When I say like a snake, that means I'm trying to make a similarity between this creature and the existing one snake. But then you say that no, this one is not snake, because snake they have vertebral column even in the tail part. Lizard they don't have. There's no vertebral column. You know this thing? Lizard don't have bones in their tail. Snake they do. They have. And that's the major classification with the reptiles and the other creatures. Clear? Okay. Now the thing is over here. First one, to identify. Identification. Once you identify, what will you do? Once you identify, like on the day of your birth, in the hospital, you have been identified as a boy or as a girl. The first thing is identifying. Identifying based on similarities only. Okay? The characteristic feature of a girl, it's different from a boy. So first is you got identification. And once you got identified, then there is a 2 groups of names. The name of boy and the name of girl. Okay? So first thing, identification. Second one, giving a name, which technically we call nomenclature. Okay? Nomenclature. Third one, after getting nomenclature, classification. Okay? Actually, classification. Certain books have also mentioned this thing, classification and categorization. And I actually do not go in favor of the categorization, because once you are categorizing, you are actually putting organism into one category. A category itself nothing, simply a class, a group. Okay, so I would rather go in the 3 specific features. One is to identify, to give a name, and then to classify. Make sense? Okay. Now further we will study about the identification, nomenclature and classification. See, if we are performing these three tasks together, the process of identifying, the process of giving name and the process of classification collectively come under one topic that we call taxonomy. We call it as taxonomy. Now, the study of taxonomy come under a specific subject. We call it as systematic biology. Okay? Taxonomy is a subgroup within the subject of systematic biology. Okay? Systematic biology. Now, see, science is a study of nature, isn't it? Is that? Science is a study of nature? Lakshmi, define science. Sir, Neil, define science. Study of things that exist. Things around us. So what are the things around us? Nature, the two part of the nature, the living part of the nature and the non-living part of the nature. Okay, things around us. This was a chapter, I guess, in some class, one of the class, 6th, 7th grade. Things around us. There was a chapter. Remember, science book. Come on. Living and non-living. In which chapter you have studied about this thing? Short-term memory loss. There was a chapter in perhaps 7th or 8th grade, things around us, and in that chapter we studied about living being and non-living being, living things and non-living things. Okay, so basically whatever we are learning biology, or we are learning chemistry or physics, whatever we are learning, actually we are learning about the things around us, which collectively called as nature. But again the question is, from where to start studying the nature? Okay, in a specific way. Like what we are learning, we have started the chapter from the mind map, learning outcomes, then the important topic. I said by the end of the chapter we will discuss about the important topics of discussion. So I am following a proper strategy. I am following a systematic order. So systematic study of nature, we call it a science. If you consider the living part of nature, it biology. The non-living part of the nature, it becomes physics and chemistry. And the technique that you apply to understand the architecture exists in the nature, that becomes mathematics. Clear? Now, so the whole idea to study diversity, identification, nomenclature and classification, these three are done. These are required. Once you are doing this thing, you are actually doing taxonomy. And when doing taxonomy, that means it comes under a specific subject of biology, we call it as systematic biology. Okay? Now, the term taxa, it came from the root word taxon. Taxon means the unit class. Taxon means the smallest the section where we can categorize. Alright? So taxon means actually the smallest class where we can classify. Yeah. Okay. And the study of this one, we call it as systematic biology. Okay. The literal meaning of this taxon is class. And systematic biology, because we are understanding biology is a systematic level, step by step manner. Chronology is related with the time factor. Systematic study related with the step by step progression. Is this clear? Alright. So this is the overview idea about identification, nomenclature and classification. We'll study about identification. In order to identify, we need certain aid. Certain aid means certain aid. Aid means either technology or the technique, because you saw an organism which resemble like a snake, okay, but that one is having gills also. So you have two choices. You come up with a statement, this one is a snake, this one is not a snake. Dichotomy. This is called dichotomy. Dichotomy, two statements which are contrast. So we'll first study in this topic about taxonomical aid. AIDS, taxonomical aids. Okay, that will be our next topic of discussion. Then we'll discuss about the nomenclature, giving two names or three names. Binomial nomenclature, trinomial nomenclature. That's the scope of the next chapter in detail. But I'll give you a certain idea about the nomenclature as well. And then classification. Classification means categorizing into different taxonomic level. Different level, kingdom, phylum, class, order, family, genus, species, sequential order. And all these things, every step is actually a taxon, a class, a category. Make sense? So we'll study this thing in further detail. Any question? Any question?